If you're anything like me, you want to know the total cost when you go to buy something, whether it's a TV or dinner at a restaurant or a cruise ship. Sometimes there are extra costs and things you might not be thinking about. And on this video, I've got the top cruise fees you should know about up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Planning a cruise is hard enough in terms of figuring out everything that's going to be part of the cruise experience, but of course, there are some extra costs that are associated with going on a cruise, some of which are kind of, you might assume might be there, and others that might quite frankly surprise you. But going on a cruise is not expensive. However, there is the cost of just simply going on vacation. This is not unlike other forms of travel as well, in which taxes, fees, and other costs aren't baked into the base cost, but you may still end up paying for it. Just like if you're buying a plane ticket or even a new car, there are times when you should look at the price tag and there's the price. And then, of course, when you go to check out, well, there's other costs associated with that. Some of which are optional, some of which are required. So the goal of today's video is to let you know about all of them that are potentially out there so you can be better prepared and also better prepared along the way. Now, I'm going to assume that you know some basics cost extra, like spa treatments, shore excursions, souvenirs. I hope that's not a surprise to you, but those aren't included. I'm not talking about those kinds of things. I'm talking about things that might actually surprise you that they're not part of the cruise. Number one, taxes and fees. Yes, you got to pay taxes and fees on a cruise. Now, when you look at the price of a cruise, you're going to see whatever it is, X amount, $100, $1,000, whatever it is. But on top of that, you're going to have to pay taxes and port fees. Part of that are the taxes the government charges to you, like you buy anything in the world. But in addition to that, there are also port fees. These are the fees that the various ports of call levy on the cruise lines. Basically, if you want to bring your cruise ship here, you got to charge each passenger X amount of dollars. And this covers things like customs and immigration, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be part of when you check out and you buy your actual cruise fare. You will see it as a line item on there. No, you can't get around that. But little tidbit of information, if your cruise ship doesn't actually visit the port, like let's say there's a storm and you have to skip the port, you will actually get those port fees refunded later on. Number two is gratuities, and we've done videos about gratuities here and how they are theoretically not included in your cruise and even more theoretically optional, but in reality, gratuities are required. They're part of the overall cruise cost. Now, if you're coming from Australia, before you comment in the comments below, yeah, your gratuities are part of the cruise fare, but for us in the United States, Canadians, and maybe some other countries as well, gratuities are not part of the cruise fare, but you're going to be pretty much obliged to pay it. Now, most cruise lines, including Royal Caribbean, have automatic gratuities, which basically means if you do absolutely nothing, the cruise line will charge you an automatic gratuity every night of your cruise when you get on board the ship, and that'll be done automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. You'll just see a bill at the end of your sailing. Alternatively, you can tell your travel agent when you book the cruise to prepay the gratuity, so that way you're not being charged it on board the ship. It's your choice, whichever one you want to do, but be aware of that. In addition, when you're on the ship and you're ordering a drink or you go to the spa and get a treatment, there will be a gratuity as well assessed during that time. So when you buy anything on there, before you go to tip on your own, make sure you look at the receipt to see if a gratuity has already been assessed on there, or if it hasn't, and then obviously you have the choice of doing it on your own. Something else that costs extra that didn't used to cost extra is room service. So Royal Caribbean changed their policy a little while ago in which now room service has a service fee unless you were staying in a suite. That's actually one of the nice benefits of staying in a suite, in which room service is complimentary. But if you're ordering room service otherwise, there is a cost to it. There is also one other exception, and that is if you order on Royal Caribbean a continental breakfast, which is basically the cold breakfast items, those are complimentary as well. It'll show you on the menu there, but something you should be aware of. Room service is nice to have. It's not really that critical. There's so much great food around, but if you were planning on doing it, or it's been a number of years since you last cruised, that might be a surprise to you that now room service does have an additional cost to it. This next cost you might not be aware of is actually combined with one of my favorite tips to save money, so it's kind of on both ends of this, but that is the corkage fee. So Royal Caribbean allows every guest to bring up to 2 bottles of wine per stateroom on board a Royal Caribbean ship. This is a huge money saver. 2 bottles of wine over the course of your cruise. My goodness, that's a lot of money you're saving on wine you would have otherwise bought, right? Well, on top of that, Royal Caribbean might charge you a corkage fee for having the wine being opened in a restaurant or bar on board. Now, I say might because in my experience, it is very rarely enacted. I will usually bring my wine to a restaurant, say, I brought my wine, could you please open this and serve it to us? I don't ask, hey, is there a corkage fee or will you charge me to? I just don't, it's not my job to tell them what to do or not to do. I just bring it there. And I would say 1 out of every 4 times I'm actually charged the corkage fee. Alternatively, of course, you could open the wine in your stateroom and you won't be assessed any fee. It's only if you bring your wine to a restaurant. But again, even in my experience, it rarely occurs. But you should be aware, theoretically, you might be charged that corkage fee. Now, if you are, of course, this is where the math comes into this. If you're bringing like a $10 or $15 bottle of wine that you absolutely love from home, and you're getting a $15 corkage fee, the cost savings really aren't there. And you might actually be better off just purchasing a bottle of wine through the cruise line. Yes, it's going to be cost you more money than it would retail, but the corkage fee then isn't assessed with any bottles of wine you purchase on board. So there's a little bit of a game going on there. But of course, you can always enjoy that $10 or $15 bottle of wine in your stateroom, no worries at all. The next cost you might not be aware of that I'm including in my list is, I'm not sure, honestly, if people really realize this or not, but soft drinks are not included in your cruise. A lot of times people are surprised that soda is not included on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I know that Disney Cruise Line includes it on theirs, but they're really the exception to the rule. But if you're going on a Royal Caribbean cruise and you want to have a Coke or a Sprite or root beer, it will cost you extra to have that on board. If you're wondering which drinks are included in your Royal Caribbean cruise fare that you will not have to pay extra for: tap water, milk, tea, coffee, regular or decaf, lemonade, iced tea, flavored waters, and juices at breakfast, but not the fresh squeezed stuff, and hot chocolates via instant packets are included with your cruise fare. Next up are fitness classes in the spa, which are a great way actually either try something you've never done before or obviously get your workout in while you're there. Most fitness classes do have a per class fee associated with them, although there are a couple of complimentary ones like stretching or abs classes. Regardless, the cost will depend on obviously your ship. You can check into the fitness center for that cost. If you're looking to do that, that's going to cost you extra. However, you can also go to the fitness center itself and use the machines and free weights and space there complimentary. That has no additional cost to it. So it's really if you just want the organized classes, spin and whatnot, that will cost you extra on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Something else that'll cost you extra on a Royal Caribbean cruise is Wi-Fi. Yeah, staying connected on a cruise ship, it ain't free. No, there's no complimentary internet, no free hour on board. It's going to cost money if you want to use Royal Caribbean's onboard Wi-Fi. Now, the good news is if you pre-purchase before your cruise for the duration of your sailing, you can oftentimes get a very good deal on it, and it is not nearly as expensive as it once was. The only way to truly get free internet, there's two ways I can think of you can get free internet during your cruise. Number one, if you're actually a Diamond or above member, you can actually get a day or two of complimentary internet. But if you're a Diamond or above, you probably already know all about this information. But the other way to get free internet is in the ports you're visiting. Quite often, you will find bars and restaurants having free internet if you stop by and order a drink or sit down and do something. Some places will actually have totally free internet for you simply walking in. I've usually found those places to have terrible connections because everyone is trying to use that. But just look for most bars, they'll have a sign, there's Wi-Fi here, you buy a beer, it's a lot cheaper than Royal Caribbean's cost for internet access, and it'll allow you to obviously stay connected, and a lot of times it's actually faster than the onboard stuff that's there. Something else that'll cost you extra you might not be thinking about is during some situations, you might have to pay for childcare on board. Now, Royal Caribbean's Adventure Ocean is fantastic, I love it, but depending on what's going on time of day, there is actually an additional cost to it. If your kids stay past 10 p.m., then they're charged an hourly fee per kid all the way up until I think 2 a.m. And it's a small fee to pay, in my opinion, for me and my wife to enjoy more time out there. But be aware that there's a cutoff from 10 p.m. onwards with an additional cost. In addition, if your child is below the age of 3 and they're going to the nursery, then anytime they're in the nursery, there is an additional cost to that. Now, as I mentioned, as a parent, I'm willing to gladly pay that. Number one, it's cheaper than most babysitters that I know. And number two, it allows my wife and I to enjoy a show a little bit longer after dinner, or go out for some drinks, enjoy some performances in the Schooner Bar, whatever the case may be. But to me, that's money well spent. And last on our list are specialty restaurants. Now, specialty restaurants are something that are really popular now, but they do have an additional cost to them. So you should be aware that if you want to go to Izumi Hibachi or Chops Grill, there's going to be an additional cost. And there is one way to save money on specialty restaurants, and that is the dining package. A lot of people want to know, will a specialty dining package save you money? Absolutely. I mean, the cost of a dining package versus trying to eat at the same amount of restaurants and simply pay the cover charge each time, you'll save way more money with the dining package that's there. So consider booking that before your cruise on Royal Caribbean's Cruise Planner. So there you go. There are some really common additional / hidden sometimes cruise fees you should be aware of before you go on a cruise. Most of these can be avoided. They're optional if you want to. Some of them are required. Like I mentioned, taxes and fees. You've got no choice to pay those. Gratuities, pretty much obligatory. That's just the nature of the cruise industry right now. And some others are kind of in that middle ground of like, theoretically, you don't have to pay for it, but you're probably going to end up buying it. Classic case, of course, are alcoholic beverages and some other things there, but I want you to be prepared and understand what to expect. If you know it's coming, it's a lot easier to manage and budget. At the end of the day, if you're better prepared, you'll have a better Royal Caribbean cruise. If you like this video, found it helpful, make sure you hit that like button below, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notifications so that way YouTube lets you know when you have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.